Okay, so we are going to do the project on Project 6, tessellations. So to begin, you take your index card, your pencil, and your ruler, and we would like to make a 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch square from our index card. So I'm going to take my ruler, lay it down. I'm going to measure 2.5 inches. Go over, measure 2.5 inches again. Then draw with my ruler. The 2.5 inches. And then, of course, now I need to turn it. And we want to measure lengthwise 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches is here, coming across, 2.5 inches is here. Take my ruler. I don't trust myself, so I'm going to do it again. There's 2.5 inches. So then I'm going to go straight across. And then I have my 2.5 by 2.5 inch square. Now this is going to help us, this will be our shape that we tessellate. So I've first got to cut out my 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch square. So that's what I'm doing now. So there's your piece, 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. All right. Next step, draw lines squiggly on one side of the square. So on this side of the square, here, we are going to draw something. Now, the more creative you are, the better. You can do curvy lines, you can do straight lines, but whatever you have here that you've drawn, you need to cut out. So I'm going to cut it out. And again, if you don't want to do kind of the triangle look with the, you could do more of a curve. And when I cut it out, I get this shape here. So as you can see, this is what I've cut out. Now, for it to be a tessellation, you're going to take the piece that you cut out and you're going to slide it. I can lift it up without bending it too bad. You're going to slide it across the shape. So it's going to, this is called a translation. We're going to slide it across this shape so it's going to end up on the other side, and that is where we're going to take our tape and we're going to tape it down. So we translated, let's look at that again, the piece that I drew, that I cut out, we're going to take it, that piece, and it's going to go over top and it's going to translate, slide to the other side. Then you need masking tape. So we get our masking tape. Take our piece of tape. And we're going to tape this to the straight edge. Now when you tape it, I did actually a good job this time, but sometimes the tape runs over, and remember you're tracing it, so you don't want the tape that's over the shape. You'd have to cut it out again. Now, the process that we did for the left side and the right side, we have to do again, because we have to do the top and the bottom. So again, it doesn't matter, you could do, so on this one I'm going to make it more of a curvy line like that. And I've got my curvy line. And again, we're making our tessellating shape. So once we did our line, then we have to cut it out. So I'm cutting that piece out. And once you cut it out, be careful that you have how you cut it out. Make sure you've got it. So I lay it back down to see if it's the same piece that I didn't flip it or anything. Now remember, we're going to translate it, so that means you're sliding it across the shape, and it's going to go over here to the side that we haven't touched, it's the straight side, and that's where we tape it on. So then we go get our tape, and we tape it on. And I've got it taped. Now, this is our tessellating piece. So now we've created a tessellating piece. We take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So I got my paper here. Now the corner edge, this was Mrs. Cole's suggestion, which is very good. She said to take where you see my line here, and where you see the line across and going down, she said to lay that in the corner. So if it's okay that the pieces you added are over the edges. So at this point, once you've got it laid in there, see how it fits in the corner? And I've got the pieces over the edge here and over the edge here. Then I start to trace it. So I've set it up in the corner. I go get my pencil and I trace, making sure I've got it lined up. And I'm going to trace it. And hopefully you trace better than Miss Wetzel. Take your time on this. And you trace it. Okay, so there is my shape. I traced it. Now, what happens is, now you slide this, go across the paper, and this side should fit right in, and it does. So now I start tracing. Once I fit it in there, I trace it again. And I repeat this process until I go off of the edge of the paper. So I've tessellated it 2 times. There's my next one, as you can see it. Then I do it again, and I go all the way off the paper. What's nice is, though, this side here will always fit in here. And then we trace again. And remember, we're going from left to right. And hopefully your tracing is better than Miss Wetzel's. I need to learn how to take a little bit more time as I trace. By the way, today was just practice. So there's my lovely trace. Could be a little bit better. That's why we have erasers. And probably should lay it back down. Now, the way to, once you go all the way across, then you start your next row. The way to set it in there is, see how we can set it in, and once it's set in, then you go and do another row, and you're going to go again from the left-hand side of the paper to the right. And there's my shape, and I have to keep going with it. Now, I will tell you that here's some from Mrs. Cole's group last year. We're tessellating them, and then we're going to color them with colored pencils. Here's some examples of some of the shapes that other students came up with, so you can kind of see the other shapes. Okay, there you go.